Hey, Sally, I just wanted to say, you've changed a lot over the last year, and honestly, I haven't been a very good listener. I'd like to get to know my daughter again. And by the way, when exactly did we stop going ice skating together?
The year you had a conflict with the Entrepreneurs Expo.
Oh, right. Yeah, that happened a lot, didn't it?
Don't touch that dial or that haptic feedback button on your smart device. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around for This Week in Mormons. It's time for it to happen.
Did you say haptic feedback button?
Well, because, you know, if you're on a phone, I guess iPhones don't do haptic feedback, do they? If you're on an Android,
No.
If you are on an Android device, as you well should be, and you get a little bit of a haptic buzz from clicking this on your pod catcher, good for you.
Is a haptic buzz anything like a marijuana buzz, Jeff? Is that similar to the buzz you're feeling?
I don't believe one gets buzzed from marijuana. I believe one gets blazed.
Oh, blaze. Pardon me.
Like the blaze.
Correct.
Where Glenn Beck is. Blazing.
Adequately named.
I just want
Jeff, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm thinking about blazing. I just want to go
I
just want to go to Colorado and see what's going on there with all the legal weed.
Go steal the 420 mile marker signs.
It's so funny they did that. But now I think everyone will. For those who aren't aware of this, obviously marijuana has been not just decriminalized but legalized in Colorado, and you can buy it legally for recreational use. But people used to steal the mile marker sign of 420 on the freeway. You see those, so they got rid of it, and now it's mile 419.99. I think I would still want to steal that for novelty value.
Well, because they're the only ones in the country. You got to have it.
Yeah.
If you're collecting those, that's an important piece.
Yeah, 420 you can get in any long interstate within any state in the union. Some states are too small to get one, but elsewhere,
Yeah, not Rhode Island.
Rhode Island's
There's no
out. Most of
420.
New England's out. Most of New York would almost be out. Anyway, so other than that, I'm great. Life's fine. Happy day. All is well.
You look good.
Thank you.
You're back in the ugly sweater.
This is not an ugly
I like
sweater.
that.
This sweater is wonderful. My wife bought it for me, and I wear it because I love it.
I'm sorry. I always think you're doing the ugly sweater thing.
You
with this.
lack fashion sensibility. I am much more fashionable than you are. I am like the man who stood in the great and spacious building and mocked.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I just looked at your sweater and assumed
You
it was
ate
ugly.
the fruit
but I must
and were ashamed.
be mistaken. No, that's actually a very fashionable sweater. I just didn't realize what I was looking at.
Well, here. Look, see? I mean, it can button it. See?
Oh my gosh! Look, you could either be a grandpa, an old woman. There's any number of things that you could be with that sweater, Jeff. Good job.
Avada Kedavra.
Oh, he's casting spells at me with his wand. How adorable.
I saw it right there,
This
and I
guy.
had to take action. It had to happen. So the one thing I want to talk
that's
about,
exciting.
3 o'clock church. Listeners, have any of you ever had 3 p.m. church? Because it just...
I've had 3 p.m. church.
You do?
I've had.
It makes me want to set myself on fire.
No, here's what was great about it. It felt like you had 0 hours in the day.
I know, because it's hard for me to treat all the day before church as productivity.
No, yeah,
Sunday
you're in your
time.
underwear the whole time. You're in your underwear, maybe a big breakfast, and that's coming on at like 11 o'clock. And then, of course, you're hungry by the time you get to church again. But then beyond that, I mean, you go into church, and by the time you come out, it's already dark.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, by default, I treat everything before church like it's morning time, no matter what's happening. So it's very strange.
What does the morning time mean in your world, Jeff?
It just means you're just hanging out. You're not like doing anything. I mean, in a previous world, before I had 11:30 church, we'd get out at 2:30. There was some time to kill. There have been times we drive downtown D.C. and just walk on the mall. I wouldn't think to go and do that right now in the early afternoon, even though I very easily could. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, you could you have more hours probably. If you woke up at 6 o'clock, you have more daylight hours now than you'll ever have in your church-going life
that's
again.
probably true, but I like 8 a.m. church I'd rather have, which I've had before. You have to get up early.
Why don't you wake up at 8 a.m. and go walk about? That's 5. No, how many is that? That's like 7-8 hours, Jeff.
Al, Sunday is a day of rest. Resting.
But if you say you would prefer 8 a.m. church.
I would prefer
Yes?
anything but 3 p.m. church. I would prefer
What
that they
if
buy...
you utilize your daytime hours and then came home at 6 o'clock at night and slept? A big dinner, go to sleep at 8 o'clock.
These are
That's
all
a
terrible
full
ideas.
night's
And then
rest.
you get back and there's barely enough time to make dinner and get it on the table before next thing you know, it's already 8:30 or 9. And it's so... Life is hard.
Then it's nap time. That's perfect.
Life
I don't see what the dilemma is.
is very, very, very hard for me. I'm sorry to say.
All right, that's fair.
But other big news, it's our 1-year anniversary this weekend.
Oh, Jeff, what will you do?
I don't know. We've been looking at things, but I have a problem with spending money in that I don't like to.
I hope the picture you will paint me includes that sweater because Danielle deserves it.
I'm going to wear this sweater every day for the rest of my life.
And nothing else, Jeff. I want you to come in with that big poofy sweater
It's not
with
even
only
that,
3
it's
of the
not
big
even
knobby
poofy.
buttons done up. Only 3 of the buttons done up.
What terrible... It says the man who was wearing... What does that say? Saturday weekend?
Unicorn sex appeal.
Startup weekend. That's what your shirt says. Ooh, I'm Al. Did you know that I work in startups? Did you know that I'm a startup guy? And so that means I dress like a slob because I'm a startupper. It's what I do.
Jeff, this is a clean and tidy t-
Uh-huh.
Why are we having this argument? We always argue about this.
Anyway, life's fine. I hope you're doing well. How's life?
I am just coming back from the dentist. I've got 2 shots of Novocaine in my face, and Jeff is making me do this podcast with you.
You're speaking
I
fine
hope you
now.
appreciate it, dear listeners, because it is so much effort to move these lips.
We were going to do it
So much-
We were going to do it a little bit earlier. But I let you have
Yeah.
some reprieve. And I desperately wanted to record while you were slurring your speech and drooling and all. That would have been great audio.
If you listen closely, you'll hear me lisping a few words. I mean, it's just the dentist is a stressful time. I feel like I'm clenched up, full clench for like the 2 hours that
Full
he's working on you, and then
clench.
you get out of it. Yeah. I'm in it. I know what you're thinking, and this has nothing to do with pooping, Jeff. This is actual, like I'm just tight, flexing in a bad place for so long, and then I get out of there, and I'm exhausted.
So you get very nervous at the dentist.
I don't love the dentist. It's true. I've learned to tolerate him very well in my old age.
It's something.
Because
It's something I don't get. I've never had a problem with the dentist. I mean, nobody enjoys having to have work done, but I don't fear the dentist. I have no problems there.
it might stem from the fact that growing up as a very poor man, I would like bum college buddies that had taken their first year of dental school into like doing my cavities while I laid on their couch and we iced my gums. Things like that have given me pretty traumatic experiences that have not always paid off well. And now they have all these fancy tools and the whatnot, but
I can
it's still a little
relate
bit
to
tough.
you. It's like my experience in college with aspiring estheticians who were in my ward. Everyone needs a practice dummy, and I have had masks and procedures done.
Well, yeah, sort of similar to that, except mine was way worse.
Yeah.
I feel like mine was out of a bad war movie, and yours was out of Clueless.
Okay, I'll accept that. I'm cool with
That's
it.
fair. Okay.
So, by the way, it's a follow-up to last week. Did you wind up seeing Lone Survivor?
No, I've not.
What? Did you make a final decision on that?
No, I'm still back and forth. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see it. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. So, like, you can't control if you just happen to, like, walk into it.
But there's like 3 nights this week where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then I talk myself out of it. And then I'm like, you know what?
He's like pacing back and forth outside of the movie theater.
Yeah, I'm
muttering
that
to
guy that's like
himself.
trying to ask a girl out, and you're staring at your phone, and her name is selected, and you just need to push call, and you're like, nah.
And feel the haptic feedback when you press the button.
That's me. That is my life.
So I take it that
This is why we're single.
Al, have you not read the wonderful article that our friend Kurt from Leading LDS published about this very issue?
I did. He said I could totally go see it.
No, he gave you a wink at the end. So he's saying, should you not see it because it's rated R or not see it because of its wanton profanity and violence?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's still a window. Because my rule is not to see it if it's rated R. I don't care about the wanton violence and profanity.
I tell you what, I got to admire Kurt because he tells the story about how he's ashamed of having seen Austin Powers. And I read that and I say, man, I suck. I have seen films such as Austin Powers.
You're not even ashamed.
Powers. I know, but I know they're not the greatest things in the world, but I don't really even bat an eyelash. And so I have to ask myself, he's a bishop. He knows better than I do. I mean, what am I? I'm in primary.
You don't know anything.
They gave me the path of least resistance. I mean, so I don't know.
They don't know a darn thing.
Yeah, maybe I need to reassess. Of course, that said, I was just watching The Bachelor before we started. It's so wonderful, that show.
Is it? I need to watch this last week. Anyway, this is silly. Jeff, let's talk
They
about
went to
Mormon
Utah
things.
in the last episode. It was amazing.
Oh, did they?
They had like a
Good,
rave
good.
at Thanksgiving Point. You should have gone when they recorded it.
Oh, my gosh. Why? Why would they come here?
Because of okay, this is why. Utah is the land of themed runs, as you know. You know, fun runs, color runs, light runs, whatever it may be. Utah is the land of people paying money to run a 5K and be able to wear glow sticks on their belt or something. That's what Utah is.
That's fair.
The runs do very well there. And so there was some kind of nighttime, ravey, everyone in neon, reflective LED clothing running around Lehigh.
These are all really good ideas, Jeff.
Yeah, the run thing, I don't understand it.
It's hard to
I'm
understand.
never going to
It's
understand
okay.
paying money so I can go run. I can run for free by leaving my door and going free.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I don't understand.
That's fair.
So,
Jeff, you could do that, but you can't do that with colored flour.
I can buy my own colors. I can do whatever I want. Don't tell me what I can and can't do, John Locke.
I challenge you, Jeff. Be blue.
Guys, in some of our first
Blue yourself next time you run.
okay. And then I'll get run over
Blue.
because you can't see me because it's night.
That's
Like
true.
that episode. Okay. Another recap. Last week we told you that we sadly lost the popular vote for the Mormon of the Year at Times and Seasons. But as of now,
Well,
they have published...
Who won?
What?
Who
They've
won,
published
Jeff?
the winner, ladies and gentlemen. They've published the winner. The winner has nothing to do with feminism. It was Darius Gray, the renowned priesthood rights activist. He happens to be African American. Big member of the Genesis group. He's had a long, lengthy history with the church. And they decided that he is Mormon of the Year this year, even though he netted 0.8% of the popular vote.
How stupid is that? Why do they want us to vote if they're just going to give it to Darius, this guy who's clearly done nothing? I've
Page
never
views,
even heard
Alan.
of him.
Page views.
His name, Gray, matches his hair gray, and that's why I think they're just enjoying the pun. This man wears a suit, glasses. That's all I know about him. He hasn't done anything for the church, humanity, like we have, Jeff. What do? We save children. We walk out of a hospital and there are rows of children in their wheelchairs. One hand gripping the wheel, the other hand rooting us on our City Hall style. Jeff and Al. That's what happens when we go there because we help people, Jeff. We are helpers of people. And Darius Gray, nothing. He has no orphan cancerous children to cheer for him. He's a nobody, Jeff. A nothing. A none. Not a none. A non. I can't talk good. It's hard. But that's my opinion. Jeff, do you have an opinion on this?
Are you okay?
Jeffrey? I'm fine. What is your
Tell me
opinion
you're right.
on Darius Gray?
You cut out I heard none of your opinion. It was like a profanity-laden rant because you got all garbly. All I heard
Lord
was we help
protecting
children.
your ears.
All I heard was we help children at the hospital. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we do. That's it.
Wait, I think it's a surprise choice. It does. It's interesting
Is
because
this
of
the
course there was
coward move? He had to choose between feminists,
Oh boy, are we on a
the
big,
guy who's like
latency
Jabari Parker,
lag?
but in football, and us. And he chose none of them. He didn't want to fight. Kent Larson. Wiener.
No, but he's very. You should see the film. Al, are you okay?
What film, Jeff? Do you even hear me right now?
boy.
Are we having technical difficulties?
Folks, hang with us. Our latency is very, very poor.
We might be. I blame Jeff.
Very, very poor. So the point is, this fine fella, Darius Gray, a lot of things. If you haven't seen his
Jeffrey,
the documentary he's in, no one knows.
Answer the
Hi,
phone. Oh, hi, Mark.
Anyways, Darius Gray's had a very pivotal role, honestly, in church history. I do think it's an interesting choice this year.
Wait, he's had a pivotal role in church history?
Yeah, the dude has been a very, very big player in the movement to extend the priesthood to all worthy males. Now, of course, you could argue that shouldn't he have been...
So his day in the sun was in 1978.
Yeah, you could argue
Jeff.
that. That's why I do think it's a curious choice, especially because I don't believe they say that this past year represented a culmination in his lifelong work on race issues in the church. So he didn't write the publication from the church end of last year about race and the priesthood, but to see the church turn around and address it, I guess, is validation for all of his work, and therefore he has earned Mormon of the Year.
He has not earned anything. He was given it over a cheap technicality. Turns out you have to...
Yeah, admittedly, I'm surprised. I would have assumed that someone involved in ordained women, something along those lines, would have received it.
The Mormon of the Year, Jeff, or the people who rallied the most votes early on, which was clearly us.
Well,
we should have had the cutoff time of 4
I
days.
warned you about
and we
this.
would have
You
won.
got on my case about why I wasn't promoting it right away, and I said we have to pace ourselves.
Yeah, well, a lot of good that did us because your bump did
As
nothing.
the band
Mine was
Interpol
everything.
said, pace is the trick.
Okay, that doesn't make
That's
any sense.
because you have a poor taste in music, Alan.
The only song by Interpol I know is Evil.
Oh, you should listen to the song PDA. It's both a way of life.
Rosemary,
Yeah.
heaven restores you in light. It's a good one.
Rosemary.
Anyway, I'm exceptionally disappointed in the outcome of this, and I'm exceptionally disappointed in Times and Seasons for their shenanigans in hosting this. If you don't want a popular vote, don't have a popular vote, people.
There it is. Yeah, don't give us Russian democracy, okay?
Yeah, thanks, Putin. Kurt, whatever his
Kent
name
Larson, who listen. Hi, Kent. We know you listen to the show sometimes. We actually love you. Thank you for your patronage.
is. Kent, you ruined us. This is an outrage. I want to see the voting slips that put this Darius Gray on the map.
Maybe there's
They're
some
not
kind of
there.
a hanging chat issue that we're not aware of.
That could be.
But anyways, folks, we gave it a good run. Hang in there next year. We're going to make it happen. This is a banner year.
You knew what I was when you picked me up, Jeff. You should never have let me run a vote. Now I'm angry.
Okay.
Let's see. Other things to talk about. There's some people talking about how the I'm a Mormon campaign needs to be improved. It needs to change.
Or
he
discarded,
says.
or what? Just
He doesn't like it.
oh, this is by
He
this
does
is by
not
Robert
think-
Kirby. Shocker. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the idea is that the I'm a Mormon campaign is played out. Now everybody knows that, or like they see that we're just being diverse. Hola, my name is Juan. I love
Yeah,
football.
I mean that's all it was. It was to show that minorities and people with beards or long hair could also be Mormons.
I still like it. Do you have a problem with it, Jeff? Do you feel like it's ineffective now?
I don't know if it's ineffective. Obviously, I think it's not as potent as it once was. I mean, honestly, it's fine.
Why is it?
Because
not
it's
as potent?
expected. If you go to the website, if you go to the Mormon.org, you can view the profiles and stuff and the videos, and they're good, but for the most part at this point, it's just the same thing. And they go out of their way to show people who are quote-unquote different. Because I think its real purpose was to try to make us seem more everyday and more mainstream within the...
Do you not feel like we need any more of that? Have people accepted us into the mainstream?
We still need it, but think about it. Once you've been saying the same thing for a couple of years, people don't expect anything new. If we went after new markets that haven't seen it before, then sure, that's something else. I mean, like in Europe, we've only done London, I think. I don't think we've done them anywhere else. So...
Well, but like the old ad campaign back in the 80s and stuff, that ran, I mean, that was just a TV spot that was everywhere, right?
But this guy, Robert Kirby, thinks that we need to make it more diverse. Like, hey, my name is Nick. I'm a father, a writer, and a death row inmate. I'm also a bleeping Mormon. See, that will show diversity.
I don't think that's exactly his argument.
My
but
name
I
is
appreciate you
Misty.
reading that.
I'm a mother and a former adult film star, but I'm also a Mormon. See,
That's not a real thing.
we can show the people who have found the gospel, who came from the depths of
No,
despair.
the argument here is that it's become cheeky, right? That we've played out the diversity card,
it's,
and
it's
now
not
we
as
need to get
it's
back
not as
to
original as it once was. Yeah.
I don't think we have. I don't think we've hit that point. I think we should keep going with this diversity card. And I would like to see more of these just randomly on TV. I think it poses good questions to people, and it elicits good questions out of the viewer, right? When you watch that, I mean, maybe it's a little bit John Huntsman-esque, where he's just riding a motorcycle, and then it's like, John Huntsman, do it. Maybe something like that. So maybe we need to pack a little bit more into the bits, right? So that when we get to the I'm a Mormon, we can, we can like go and do something from there. Maybe the call to action needs to be a little better, but I like it overall.
I think that we need to try to get a lot of the Hollywood people who are no longer involved with the church, but who have been and were raised that way, and
I'm Ryan Gosling.
I'm Ryan Gosling,
and I used to
I'm
be a
Aaron
Mormon.
Eckhart. I'm Amy Adams. I am Katherine Heigl. Let's get all of them to do them.
I am Taylor Swift. Tell your friends.
What?
It's my new thing.
Are you serious?
Anyway, kind of interesting. There's another one that was kind of interesting. The church's criteria on dating has found new legs, Jeff.
Oh, good.
And by criteria, I mean criteria for 14-year-olds. The way that the church teaches 14-year-olds to date is the right way.
No, this is past that. It's also up to 16. Through all those ages.
Yeah. While you're a little child, they know the right way to date, and research backs that. They say that
this is what it's really about.
You shouldn't pair off exclusively in intimate relationships with people while you're in your youth. That's a bad idea.
But the world has validated us. This comes from York University in Toronto, so take it for what it's worth, Canada. But
that's not the world, Jeff. That's only Canada.
Well, 30 million, 7 billion. It's the same thing. So, but they do say that the way that we lay out dating standards and guidelines actually matches up with what they have found to be sort of psychologically and emotionally healthy for youth.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it makes good sense to the idea that, like, if you don't get into a crummy relationship that ends poorly, which almost all of them do as a 17-year-old, you're going to be better off because you'll be able to develop more and kind of build your own personality and not have this weird baggage from some uber love that cheated on you with Stacy and never loved you really
group
anyway.
dating is superior, and I can attest to that. I feel like I was worse off. I turned 16, and basically right away there was a girl, and we were sort of just kind of waiting at the gates for the gates to go up for me being 16 to be able to date. And
you were like a racehorse.
Like a racehorse. And so pretty much like within a week of being 16, she was my girlfriend, and we were just boyfriend-girlfriend for like 2 years.
You missed out on all the fun times, the bowling.
No, we still did that.
Awkwardly
I
paired
lucked
off.
out a little bit. It was a lot more like a sitcom or something where we had a bunch of friends and we were all dating each other. So we'd hang out.
Here's the weird thing with group dates, though. It's weird to like be quasi paired off and there with other attractive women, right? Like I'm fine on a first date where you're there with your one and you're like, all right, I'm going to give this a go. But when you give me like 4 options, I don't even know where to put my attention. I was a mess.
They're not options, Al. If you're going on a date, you are there with a date.
But there's 3 other women there that aren't necessarily
Who
involved
are
with
not
any of
your
these guys.
dates. Be classy, man. You got to focus the energy
They
on the
are
woman.
choices.
You have to focus the energy, even in a group setting, on the woman that you committed to be with for that evening. Enjoy the other ones. Take some notes if you need
a
to.
group date for me was like a voting thing run by Times and Seasons, right? Like I would go there and I'd do my thing, but in the end, it really didn't matter what happened. I was just going to go and find whoever I wanted to be with.
Well, then that's just called hanging out in a group. But if you have the understanding that you are going on a group date, but you have one of the girls or guys is your actual date for the group date, if everyone's paired off with dates.
What's a date on a group date? I mean, it's like we're all just getting a pizza and then going bowling. It's not like you even have to pick her up. You pick her up in a minivan with 9 other people.
But you might pick her up. And the point is, come on, Al, you should know this stuff by now. Even if you're bowling, like you said.
No, here's what I know by now. I know that I don't double date. I don't go on group dates. It doesn't happen. Not until you're exclusively done and all that's
Al,
figured
I don't think
out.
you go on actual dates at all.
There's too many variables involved.
Don't you just hang out?
In the group date
aren't you just
function.
kind of a hangouter?
Jeff, I never.
Al, is it
hang
time for
out.
do we have to have another intervention?
We have so many
I
interventions.
feel like one is
I'm
brewing
tired.
in my soul because I am concerned for your eternal welfare.
Yeah? Jeff, does the fact that I am almost as old as you were when you got married concern you?
Are you older at this point? I'm not sure. Let me think.
Wait, you're older than I am by a year,
By
right?
11 months to the day. Yeah.
That's right.
So
Well,
that
Who knows?
being the case, because I'm born in September and you're August and we're coming up on my 1-year anniversary, you are now older than I was when I got married by a month.
I'm older right now?
I believe so, because your birthday is in August, and so if you take between August to January compared to September to January, that's 1 extra month. So you are a month older than.
So December, I was older than. Oh,
So you are a
well,
month older than I
there
was
we
when I
are.
got married. Al,
There we
listen
are.
to me. Let me come under my tutelage. I will save you.
You can't.
And
save
speaking
me,
of
Jeff. I'm a
forms of
lost
marriage, last week you might recall we had a small little discussion near the end of the podcast about what would happen if like people with same-sex marriage is still very much up in the air in Utah. You know, it seems to be legal and illegal within the same week now. But if a gay couple were to ask to have a marriage performed and it's legal in the state, we were wondering like, well, can a bishop just do it then because it's legal? It seemed counterintuitive, going against sort of the church's policy on things. And so no sooner had we discussed that than a letter was actually sent at first to bishops in the church and now to the whole, it's in the newsroom now on the church's website, all about instructing church leaders on same-sex marriage and straight up telling them like, you're not to do it. Basically as much as if you do this, if you marry a gay couple, not quite sure your calling is going to be your calling for much longer, etc.
Well, so it's good to have some clarity on
it
that.
makes sense.
Where I mean, their main thing is that you can't perform these using church facilities, and the church offices are not to be employed for this. It's congruent with the church's stance. We all kind of expected that. We're just wondering if that was actually going to happen. And sure
but
enough,
here's
it
what I
did.
do think is interesting, though. Aside from a wedding itself, they're even saying that we're not permitting the meeting houses for even just receptions and things along those lines. Even if there was no actual marriage to take place, no receptions, no activities at the church buildings that are associated with same-sex marriage, unless, of course, it is the denying of same-sex marriage, in which case, if it's California in 2008, just have a ball. Enjoy those church meetings, people. Party. But I love that it says, it says all visitors are welcome to our chapels and premises so long as they respect our standards and standards of conduct while there. And I think it's a reasonably civil letter, but you do have to wonder if maybe it's going to be a step back in the eyes of some, if some feel like it's...
Well, sure, it's reasonably civil. That is, I mean, It's not we love you with open arms. We're going to do everything in our power. We aren't allowed to marry you, and we're not going to do that. But anything else we can do for you. It's not that.
No.
Right?
I mean, we were reminded right there. I mean, changes in the civil law do not, indeed cannot, change the moral law that God has established. So there it is, folks. No matter what happens in Utah or elsewhere for that matter. It's just funny when these things, of course, only come out because Utah always serves as this microcosm for the church. I mean, gay marriage has been legal in other states in the U.S. for a while. It's legal in a number of other countries that even have sizable membership bases. But only when stuff happens in Utah do we actually get a letter from the first presidency.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, well,
which is fine, but
how do you feel about this? Are you?
well, no, like I said, I think it makes sense. I mean, it would go against everything the church stands for to say, oh yeah, well, it's the law of the land, so marry whoever you want.
Is there any other way that it could have been structured to have pleased us more?
Just the letter? No, I think it's fine. It's what you would expect. I do think it's funny that it takes these things happening to. I swear, all 49 other states could legalize same-sex marriage on the same day, and the church would still just stay mum until it hit Utah. And then we'd get a letter for the whole church.
Yeah.
So. But that goes back into some of my other just general concerns with trying to run an international church, sometimes through the lens of Utah, which in some ways works, but in some ways I feel like isn't perfect. But whatever. That's just
Well, yeah. Okay. So let's see. We got some other stuff on the table here, Jeff. We got the Gilbert Temple. Good things been happening. Also, Fort Lauderdale. They broke ground over there.
no,
right?
no. Give the correct updates.
Oh no, the open house is announced. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm in a bad place.
It's okay. Read this and be filled with the Spirit. Tell us what's happening in Fort Lauderdale. Give us the deets. I love it when.
There's an open house. It's coming
When?
up Saturday, March 29th through the 19th of April.
Okay.
You can go.
When
visit.
will the temple be dedicated?
Oh, the temple will be dedicated
Sunday,
Jeff,
May
I don't know
4th.
these things. I'm in the middle of some stuff here. I'm in a weekend state. I just want to rant on.
On what? You have
On
Novocaine.
times
You're
and
acting like
seasons.
you're mentally impaired. You had Novocaine in your gums. Your thinking ability is no different than it was before you went to the dentist.
Oh, is it not, Jeff?
Pretty soon you're going to start
exhausted.
asking me if this is real life, and you're going to rise up from your chair and just scream for no reason.
That might happen. Also, the Gilbert Temple had ABC Action News 15. Took a tour through there.
I don't think
Snuck some pics.
I don't think they took those pictures. I'm pretty sure those pictures are courtesy of the church.
Well, they got a tour of it. They had to use the stock photos, but that's all right. Man, the Gilbert Temple looks pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it's really, really big. It's one of the biggest temples we've built, and I think we talked about that once on the show. I think it's the biggest temple we've built since Bountiful and Mount Timpanogos.
Man, that looks killer. I want to go to that.
You should go
except-
down there. I'm sure we will.
I mean, it's in Gilbert, so it's in this weird
It's in
Arizona
it's
sprawling
in the
craziness.
southeastern extreme of the Phoenix metropolitan area. Yes,
The Phoenix metropolitan area is like 9 hours
I know it
across.
takes forever to
It's
cross that
ridiculous.
thing. It's so stinking big geographically. It takes forever. Oh, also speaking of Arizona, I guess while we're at it, so they had this YSA conference in Arizona last week. Big YSA conference. These things happen. Not unheard of.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Now, my sister went to this. She's our wonderful This Week in Mormons correspondent for the East Valley area, and she texted me as it was going. She texted me as it was going on, and said that, of course, Mitt Romney appeared with many other people who are actual, ecclesiastical leaders and have the authority to address us and inspire us. But Mitt Romney was there, and when he came out, everyone started yelling, 2016, 2016.
What did he say?
Because a YSA event is a political rally in the East Valley of Arizona. So
That's
that
not
happened.
what it was about. Was it a joke? Did he say anything? Did he give him a grin, a wink?
She did say she did text me a funnier joke though when he said after a bit everyone on the stage were just YSA stake presidents in the area, and he said, "I'm the only man on stage that's not president." Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Oh my gosh, that is rich.
But then,
Good for him.
to top it off, he was on the stage with renowned performer Alex Boye, and Alex Boye got Mitt Romney to briefly forget that he is a white man and dance like a dad. It's 20 seconds.
He rapped?
No, he just got Mitt to dance.
Mitt
Mitt's
Romney
standing
is a
there,
rapper?
kind of hopping, doing some kind of a jig, some kind of Cotton Eye Joe thing. It lasts about 2 seconds, and the crowd just goes nuts for it because they're like, this guy could have been president. I don't need Barack Obama singing Al Green to me. I've got Mitt Romney doing a jig. Come on.
All right. That works. I'm okay with that.
So that happened, and
Well, good for Mitt. Good for him.
Also, for longtime listeners, you might remember Ashley Chapman, the Mormon Bachelorette from 2011. Al, she was proposed to on stage at this YSA conference.
Wait, Ashley Chapman, Mormon
The boring Mormon Bachelorette who chose no one.
Oh my gosh, she got proposed to.
The one for whom we made those mockery videos in the vein of riff tracks and Mystery Science Theater.
Oh yeah, she dated. Oh, she had the scrunchy face.
Yeah, if you want to see these videos, folks, by the way, go to our YouTube channel, Twee Mormons, and you can find.
You're not missing anything.
They're not the greatest things in the world, especially because it was almost 3 years ago, and our production know-how has improved since then. But it's just us making fun of how bad these dates are. So there's that. So she's engaged at a conference for YSA.
I need to see this. Where's the YouTube?
I don't believe that.
I'm searching.
Yeah, where was the Mormon Bachelorette camera crew for this? Where are they now? This is all Aaron Elton's fault. Aaron Elton had to get married and pregnant. Now she doesn't care anymore. And now I don't have Mormon trash to keep me entertained.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Good for her, though. And way to go, Ashley Chapman. You weird woman. I'm glad you found love.
It brings back so many memories. Remember we do those throwdown posts?
Oh,
Al and I would compare two.
You were adamant we had to do them, and I hated them.
But they were funny. I mean, they were your idea. Like many things, Al, they were your idea, and then you got tired of doing it.
I always love ideas for the first, month of doing them, and then I'm like, that was fun. Let's do
those were great.
else.
We'd compare two dates and decide who won. It was a good time. It was wonderful.
Should we read some of Ashley Chapman's?
Read some of her what?
Her dates? Are there any that you're thinking of that were great?
Oh, gosh, man. That was a long time ago.
Ashley Chapman.
Everyone loves it when we do searches for things while we are on the air.
They do?
Mobatch Theater, date number 13. No one loves it. But it was a good run. Let's see here. Let's find some. What am I looking at here?
Oh, there's some awful ones. Pete Howe. I wonder how
that was
Pete
a single
Howe
bill.
is.
Throwdowns. Oh, the memories of these. The memories.
This is ridiculous.
Tina has a huge knife, and she's attending some sort of prom. I've seen this movie. It didn't end well. Mormon raps. Oh, this must have been when Rick Buck was the Mormon Bachelor. Sorry, this one was different. That was good times. Good times, all. I miss it. I would love to be able to make fun of it again. What can I say?
Oh, man.
Do you want to talk about missionaries, Al?
Oh, yeah. I can talk. I'm sorry. Jeff, I'm in a bad place.
Bring it back, son. Bring it back.
Let's see. Missionaries. Where's our story? So with the influx of missionaries, there's a couple of articles over By Common Consent that they argue that the church doesn't know what to do with its influx of missionaries. So we've got a bunch more missionaries, but we haven't scaled up the teaching, and the areas have not handled the influx as well as maybe we'd.
By the way, can I attest that this is true? Because I have it on good authority that the elders, one of the now sets of elders in my ward, stopped by some friends' houses the other week and hung out for 2.5 hours with no mission to nothing. They just hung out. They didn't share a message. They didn't try to veer things into gospel territory. They just kicked it.
Well, why didn't they kick them out of their house? What's their problem?
Bad. I don't know. It was cold. I don't know. It was during the polar vortex, Al.
All right, that's actually fair. I feel like that should be like
anything goes during the.
That should be like Christmas. Anything
goes during the vortex. I mean, really.
It's Rumspringer for missionaries. Let's see. So that's the argument, right? Do you like? I think that there's definitely still lazy missionaries, Jeff, which is probably what you saw there. I don't think that was because they didn't have anything to do, and there was just too many missionaries in their area. I think they were just being lazy.
Well, in that case, yes, sure.
So riddle me this. I know, there are entire sections of Europe that are unopened, cities that don't have missionaries, things of that nature, because we don't have enough. Why are we pouring missionaries into places that are?
And maybe that's the issue here, because as far as I know, I think a lot of these, at least from what I've seen here locally, these new sets of missionaries. I mean, you can only go to so many wards. I understand that. But they're basically just splitting up the existing areas rather than shipping them off somewhere else and saying, Elder, there's nothing here. Get it done. Build a branch. And it might be different somewhere. That I can't speak for the whole church, of course. But that would be good to see, right? They're sending more missionaries. That would be like, great. There used to be a branch in this one town. We folded it into the ward here. We're going to station you in this town where this branch was. Build the work back up, and let's make a goal to break it back off from that ward and be its own ward again. Why would that not be a perfect goal to have?
Well, so I don't necessarily agree with the premise that we have too many missionaries and not enough work for them to do, right? I feel like we could fix that very easily. The part of this that I do like, though, is he suggests that this John over at By Common Consent suggests that it would be a great solution to lock out the daytime hours and just say these are for doing service, and not just more cleaning the church and more teaching English, but go do some serious, genuine service, jump in with the Salvation Army, jump in with some of these other organizations and really throw some manpower at what they're doing and have that be your daytime hours. The benefits of that from my perspective is a missionary is so much more effective when they are integrated into the community and they know people and they have the opportunity to sort of build some of those relationships or build that trust before they jump right into the gospel, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong, because there's great stories of missionaries that just walk into a town and shout repentance and off it goes. But I feel like in today's age, you're going to find more opportunities to have genuine conversations with people after you've given some real hours during the day to serve them. I feel like that would be a really good idea. And a cool shift in the missionary program, right? Instead of them going on Facebook and trying to convert their old friends using social media.
Yeah, and honestly, and of course we believe every member is a missionary and we need to do it that way. But tracting is old school. Tracting really is a product of 19th century America, rural America for that matter, when it was normal to walk around without person script and preach the word and see how you could do it. It doesn't really
And daytime tracting is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't. Tracting really doesn't translate to the modern era, but we just keep going. We keep doing it maybe because we don't know what else to do. And you mentioned the social media thing, and there's an adjoining article to this talking about some of the problems they've seen so far with social media, basically in that no one's training the missionaries on how to use social media, saying they can be on Facebook. So like you said, they're either, trying to convert their old friends or they're wading into random Facebook groups that might be either more antagonistic or just try to deal with headier issues in the church and just posting blanket. Yeah. There's a whole statement right here. We'll link up to it where they found this one same comment just kind of plastered all around Facebook by this missionary. And it's just like, hi, everyone, I'm Elder So-and-so. I'm a representative of Jesus Christ in this mission. I love my mission and the opportunity to share the gospel. And it's just like this canned message. And then he even goes on to say that I wanted to I want to help you. I want to present the gospel to you in a non-weird way, and that's why I'm here. I want to help you. But that is the weird way. If someone put that canned message on my wall, why would I?
No, for sure nobody's responding to these being like, oh hey, well, and maybe we're wrong. I mean, maybe people are coming in droves, but I think that the smarter way. Well, you're right, Jeff. I mean, tracting and contacting are at the least effective ways out of the 15 ways it lists of finding people. That's the worst
and
way,
antiquated,
right? And so the fact that still consumes 90% of our time, maybe we should look at that and say we're doing something wrong. The downside to that is mentally for a missionary to feel like they're working is a good feeling, right? And when you go out and tract or you go out and contact, that's hard work, and you feel exhausted at the end of the day, and that's a good, wholesome feeling to feel. If you went and enjoyed your daytime hours and then came home and worked at night, I feel like you might, I don't know, you might feel like you're cheating the system somehow. It might not be
I don't know if you would.
rewarding in your mind.
I don't know if you would, because I feel like, why would you feel? One of the missions of the church is to look at, we're looking out for our fellow man, help the poor, do whatever else.
Well, it is, but do you know what I mean? Like, if you went home at the end of the night and you weren't exhausted, I mean, there's so much legend around the missionary. Your shoes are worn out and sharing the gospel and blah, like all that stuff, right? You're exhausted every night, and like I was, and I really appreciated that. But I had a spell on my mission where I was the puppet elder.
Yeah.
Right? We would do these puppet shows against tobacco, like we talked about it before. The beauty in that is we'd go at 7:00 and come home at 3:00 and then do our 2 hours of our morning study right at the end there. And then we'd go out and work at 5:00. And like, we were so pumped to get out there at 5:00 and we'd just knock it out. We'd have all these great conversations. And I mean, we had a great teaching pool because we were excited to be there every minute we were out there because we didn't get to be there during the day. And what was missing for me was the fact that I'd go home at night and I would just be like happy. I wouldn't be exhausted. I wouldn't be tired and frustrated, but I was just happy. And that felt weird. It felt wrong.
No, but it's not
somehow.
wrong. That's a cultural thing that's taught you. It's good to be. You're sure it's good to put in a hard.
That's exactly it. But it is our culture. That is the Mormon culture. Is if you wear out your shoes. When I got to my mission, my companion said, "Round here, we walk this many hours a day, and I've worn out 2 pair of shoes just in this area."
And like,
there was a lot of
why is that
pride
your
in
badge of
right?
honor? The badge of honor should just be for how effectively and sincerely you can share the gospel with people. Not that like
It should be.
And but I like the idea of the service thing because I don't feel like it would be cheating. I get what you mean by that though. But for example, I mean, Al, both of us served in Europe with varying degrees of success, and I went through a stretch of my mission of about 4 months, and I was on my mission when we still had the discussions. Preach My Gospel had not really been implemented in the Spanish-speaking world yet. And so I went through like 4 months without ever even getting a second discussion. And we had not lots of appointments, so basically all day was just tracting, maybe like discussions in the street, which we would count for the sake of numbers because of the pressure for numbers. But I did not go home and say, yeah, I'm exhausted, this was good work today. After a while, it starts to nag at you, and you just feel like, no, I'm just like, I'm going out there every day and nothing's coming of it. I'm going to keep going because I'm committed, but this is hard. And it's funny because it got to a point, I remember one day, and I should have known better. I learned a great lesson from this. I was in this town called Tarragona. It's like an hour south of Barcelona on the Mediterranean. And I was looking at a map, and I found this little town called Mora la Nova, which is like an hour away on a train. There's no branch there. There's no history of the church there. But I had these great visions of like, I'm going to go to all these villages and preach the gospel and build the church from outside to bolster the center or something like that. And so the other elders came along. We hopped on a train. We went out to this town. We basically only had enough time when we got there because of the train schedules to walk through the town, maybe talk to a few people, and then even telling ourselves, like, what are we going to do? If we have an investigator here, we're never going to come out here. This is like way too out of the way. And so then we turned around and wound up going home. And I remember on the train, I was with the other elder, the other senior companion in our district, and we were just kind of chit-chatting, and we were just like, what are we doing? And I knew because I was so burned out from such a long stretch of feeling like I'd done nothing legitimately useful as a missionary that I went to these stupid lengths, convincing myself it would be some worthwhile trip and I'd have grand results from it. And I said, this is ridiculous, man. I need to find better ways to spend my time. I'm sorry it was a long story, but there we go.
No. So I wonder, the thing that's interesting to me about this, I wonder what would change. Like what a force of 80,000 worldwide volunteers would do for an organization if they had like 8-hour working days out of volunteers that were exceptionally dependable and showed up every time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, what does a university do with like 6 volunteers that show up and can help do, I mean, whatever they're doing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done as a missionary. I know we struggled to find volunteer stuff, but like, it would have been cool if we had relationships with organizations that were excited to have us come and run the homeless shelter, you know?
Well, yeah, and that could be a role either for a district leader or within the office, somebody that helps to arrange these things regionally.
But then I wonder if the overall, like would you bet that if you took away those daytime hours and compressed all of your missionary efforts into the evening hours, I mean, it's almost like being a missionary part-time.
In a way. And I get what you mean from that. But it's so true, though. Daylight hours stink. I mean, what do you honestly do with daylight hours? You run into...
Oh, they totally
There's
stink.
nothing... It's every time we'd read the White Handbook, daylight hours are fine, but it would, at least on my mission, it would say, like Saturdays and Sundays are great times to find families home and doing things. And we were like, bull. Everyone left in Spain. Everyone just leaves on the weekends. The weekends were the slowest time of my week without fail. For 2 years straight. We had nothing to do on the weekend. And this also, tell me what you think about this. This article also says that preparation day should always be on a weekday, like it has to be, because I guess sometimes it's on Saturday. I don't know why. And that Sunday should be a legitimate day of rest that is not preparation day, one where there is not pressure to be out tracting and doing appointments. Like go and do stuff that you have to do, but use it as a day to actually meditate and get things done. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's almost like 2 preparation days.
Man, I know now as a 30-year-old, I would appreciate that. Like I would be able, like I'm a self-starter and I'm motivated and I use my time wisely, and like I would genuinely appreciate that sort of a structure. As a 19-year-old, I have a hard time thinking I wouldn't just goof off.
18-year-old now, I mean, crazy.
But I mean, like the idea that we'd actually use it well is a little bit daunting. So I mean, I don't know.
Sundays can be brutal. I mean, when you have nothing to do sometimes on Sundays. But it's okay. It's okay.
Well, they can, but it's like any other day. I mean, tracting on a Sunday night is probably more effective than tracting most other nights for me because, well, when I was a missionary.
Yeah, 'cause people are home. And I'm not making the argument that mission should be easy, that we need to remove roadblocks that make it difficult. Because part of what makes a mission is that it's difficult. And you learn to get through stuff and you learn to work through stuff and have a resolve even in the face of a lot of adversity and despair sometimes. Everyone has to go through that on a mission, but there might be more effective ways to tailor one's time.
That's true.
I do wonder I do wonder though if they were to do service all the time, if that would become like the new tracting and they would all just get burned out on that. Oh, here we go, doing the service all day again today. I don't know. It's whatever.
That's what Jesus did. It was like,
no, Jesus gave
again?
service. He had sermons. He just kind of just did his thing. He did what we should all be doing. He just walked around and served people all day.
That's service, Jeff. That is what service is.
And people came to him because of his example. Think about the relationships we would build.
Hey, so one other quick thing. We're going to wrap up here, but Jeff is really excited about the new almanac that the dudes over at what is it, Comora.com?
Comora.com and LDS churchgrowth.blogspot.com. 2 terrific websites, folks. If you love demography in any way, shape, or form, these are both very, very well done websites. So the 2 fellows behind this, David Stewart, and Matt Martinick, have spent much time together now building a 1,900-page, 2-volume exhaustive survey that's called Reaching the Nations International Church Growth Almanac 2014. They're pro-church, but this is trying to get in more of the nitty-gritty and the stuff that if you were to go by the Deseret News Church Almanac every year, you're not going to find. In a good way, though, I think. I mean, they, based on their research, allege that about 30% of Mormons are active as far as that definition, which is interesting. Where congregational growth has been huge in the past 10 years and where it's shrunk, they showed that Louisiana has shrunk by nearly 20%. Stuff like that. Retention rates, the lowest convert retention rates are in Latin America, which goes with that.
The Philippines is the largest population of Latter-day Saints outside of the Americas.
Notice he says outside of the Americas because Brazil and Mexico both have way more than that. But
kill it. They kill it.
But yeah, I mean.
Anyway, some cool stuff. We're looking to do some cool stuff with these guys.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Stay tuned. If it works out, we're hoping to at least have Mark on the show next week with us. We'll see if it plays out. But we've been talking with them about being on the show.
And we're excited. Jeff loves maps.
I do. If you go to Comora.com, you can look at maps, and they have just Google Map overlays that show the boundaries of stakes or missions or any random thing you could want to find. It's an extremely useful resource.
I want all of that.
So I want to check out that book, except it's $50 for each volume. Gosh. Do we have it in the budget, Al?
Oh, what other? Yeah, for sure. One other thing that's interesting: the voter registration of the Mormons.
They are all libertarians.
You saw this, Jeff. No, so apparently, what was it? The voting records are made public now out in Utah. Is that what happened?
What happened was Governor Herbert, they purchased like voter data from the government and they made a website. So it's a free place where you can log on and see people's voting affiliation. Public record.
Yeah. And turns out everybody's Republican.
But we have, it's true. So they list the First Presidency, the 12, the Relief Society, and just some prominent, just LDS people. So there we go. Interestingly, President Uchtdorf, unaffiliated voter.
Oh my gosh!
But a couple of other,
he just hasn't.
But
got
a couple of
around to
other
it.
surprises. Elder Bednar, whom I think many would assume is a Republican, is unaffiliated, and so is Quentin L. Cook. And so is.
I'll be honest. I saw that
and
coming.
so is D. Todd Christofferson.
I saw Quentin L. Cook being a little wishy-washy.
Yeah. Linda K. Burton, though the Relief Society general president, also unaffiliated. The only registered Democrats that we see really here are Stephen E. Snow, the current church historian. That's like the slot for Democrats because the previous historian was Marlon K. Jensen, who's also a prominent Democrat. And the only other one listed
we put him right there.
is Robert Kirby of the Salt Lake Tribune, the guy who wrote the article we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Weak.
But Cecil Samuelson is unaffiliated, so there's that.
Yeah, the president of BYU. I wonder which way he swings.
I hope that he is of the Peace and Freedom Party.
I'm sure he is. Anyway, Jeff, what a great week. Thanks for putting up with my sluggishness and slurring words. I do love you so. You can reach us, people. Send us an email, contact@thisweekinmormons. We've been very good about replying. I hope you appreciate this. Also, thisweekinmormons.com. You can come and leave a comment. We have op-ed articles being written all the time. Make sure to like us on Facebook if you want to get those in your news feed.
Yeah, and the same thing on Twitter. Find us there. Subscribe to our YouTube page where you can see videos and audio and many things. Please keep an eye out, if you would, as well, for our other podcasts. Sunday School Bonanza, we're talking about the Old Testament right now for this year's Gospel Doctrine. Those are great. And our new podcast, of course, Third Hour of Power, which we're doing with This Mormon Life, where they're going over the manuals of teachings of the presidents of the church. So you can look for that twice per month when those lessons come up. All those great things and more at thisweekinmormons.com, folks. Great of you to join us this week. Al, I hope that your face feels better.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. And I hope your face is nice.
It's okay. I need to trim my beard, in all honesty. But
good night, young man.
Thank you. Good night, friend.
All right, buddy.
See ya. Bye, folks. Have a great week. If we can be of any use to you, please reach out to us. We're here to serve you. This is This Week in Mormons.
That's partly true.
Rosemary, heaven restores you in life. You're coming with me through the aging, the fearing, the strife. It's the smiling on the package, it's the faces in the sand, it's the thought that moves you upward, embracing me with two hands. Right, we'll take